Hello everybody, and welcome back to Monster Hunter D&D. For those who don't know, Monster Hunter D&D is a video series about the Monster Hunter themed D&D campaign I am in. If you don't know anything about D&D or Monster Hunter, don't worry. I will explain any terminology and monsters as they appear so you won't get confused. This is part 4 of the series, and if you want to see the other parts, you can watch them here. So, quick recap of last session. Farley had a panic attack, Valhelectra has broken ribs, there's someone on an Astalos in the middle of Astera, and Aroace is trying to fight God. As we begin the session, we are asked to roll a perception check. Only 2 people pass and notice that behind us, on top of the smithy roof, is another person, this one on top of Arathalos. Arathalos is the male counterpart to a Rathian. They look similar, but instead of green scales have red scales. They also don't have venomous tails, but instead have venomous talons. They are also the poster monster for the entire series, similar to how Pikachu is for Pokemon. Farley and Colin volunteer to try and speak to the people on the monsters. Farley flies down to the Astalos and tries to talk to the mysterious person on its back, and Colin turns around to do the same with the one on the Rathalos. They both take a look at the figures on the monsters. They are covered up in hooded robes that completely hide any identifying features. All but one. Fleshy tentacles can be seen coming out of their faces from under the hood. If you don't know, these are mind flayers. A mind flayer is a humanoid, intelligent creature with powerful psychic powers. Their heads and faces resemble alien and or squids. Some like to feast on brains, and they are all very powerful and very dangerous. It should be stated that we as players know that these are mind flayers, but our characters don't. As Farley and Colin try and talk to them, they get attacked by the monsters they are riding. The Astalos releases a blast of electricity from its mouth. Farley manages to pass his saving throw. He jumps right as the blast hits him, so he only takes half damage, which was enough to knock him unconscious. As for Colin, he wasn't lucky. The Rathalos opens its maw, and flames spew out, consuming Colin. As the fire dies down, all we see is a pile of ash with a burnt skull on top. Well then, we got our first player death and this session has only begun. Farley! Shouts Aroace as he watches Farley fall unconscious. Colin! Shouts Eldir as Colin dies. Everyone quickly jumps over the railing and down to the ground so we can rush over and help Farley. As we all fall though, Valine hits their head on some wood, knocking them out. So, the person who plays Valine had their internet go down at this time, and this is really the only way to explain why she won't be in the rest of the video. We rush over to Farley and grab him as the Astalos is trying to attack us. We manage to grab him unscathed and drag him to safety where Aroace heals him for 6 HP. So now both Farley and Valhelectra are at 6 health. The Rathalos flies down next to the Astalos, and the two close in on us, trapping us against a wall. The only safe place to run is towards the gates of Astera, which lead out of the city. Or, at least they appeared safe. Suddenly, the ground begins to shake. Some of us are knocked down to the ground, as a Dalamadur emerges from the ground, with yet again another humanoid on its back. Dalamadur is the giant snake elder dragon from the beginning of the campaign. The figure from the Dalamadur gets off of it and approaches us. They look different from the others, however. Instead of a hooded robe, they are wearing full armor. The armor is black, with 2 big horns coming off the top. On the back are 2 wings, and in the center of the chest and on the forehead is 1 big orange eye each. The eyes give off ominous energy. For those who don't know, this is Fatalis armor, meaning this is armor made from the Elder Dragon, Fatalis, which is considered to be the most powerful monster from the main series games. Fatalis is not just an elder dragon, but a black dragon, just like Aroace. Fatalis is responsible for the destruction of an entire kingdom. One night was all it took for him to destroy the ancient civilization that came long before hunters and the guild. Also, Fatalis has immense regenerative capabilities, to the point that even after being turned into armor, eventually the armor will begin to regenerate into a brand new Fatalis. Also, this person has no face tentacles, so they are not a mind flare. They approach our party and begin to give their evil speech. What do we have here? A resistance? How quaint, they say. Who are you? What do you want with Astera? Asked Farley. To bring its downfall, they answer. We won't let you destroy the city, Farley says, as he's trying his best to hold in all his blood. Protect Astera? I bet you think you are on the side of justice. But there is no justice with the guild. My family knows that pain all too well. The guild preaches justice, but they are nothing but hypocrites. Dalamador! They shout. The Dalamador opens its mouth and spews a giant meteorite into the air that falls down above Astera. Our party rolls a mixture of strength saving throws, and for those of us who are dragonborn and use our breath attacks, constitution saving throws in an attempt to catch the meteorite and prevent it from destroying Astera. We succeeded and managed to hold it in place. I am impressed you managed to catch it. But I wonder, what will you do about the second one? The stranger says. Just then, a second meteorite falls down on top of the first one. We all have to roll again, but with disadvantage this time. Disadvantage means we roll 2 d20s and use the lower number. We all roll. The second meteorite crashes into the first one. We manage to hold both back for a few seconds before both of them explode, and debris falls down from the sky, destroying the buildings and landing on other hunters and researchers. We are all knocked down and incapacitated. We can't move, we can't attack, and we can't protect ourselves. The stranger walks closer to us. Didn't you say you were going to protect Astera? They say. Aren't you supposed to be on the side of justice? They all put their trust in you, and now look. The homes are gone, and their bodies run cold in the streets. The guild will fall when I'm done with it. But if you truly want to be on the side of justice, you can come with me. We will never join a murderer like you, Farley answers. Oh, you won't. Not even for Ben, Felix, or Sakura, and Zaminia, they say. Farley looks shocked at the mention of those names. How about Celeste, Josher, Maria, or Mistilk, Emil, and Socrates? They say as they look at the rest of the group. I can bring them back. I can bring them all back. With the world I plan to create. All I need is the guild to fall. Several members of the group all look down and are overcome with emotions of sorrow upon hearing those names. Just so you all know, Vahalectri is not one of those people. Why are you doing this? Farley says with shaken breath. If you want to know why not ask the guild? Why not ask what they did to my family, to my home? Now, I will ask one more time. Are you with me? They ask. Now, Farley and Vahalectra are doing their best not to bleed everywhere, so Isaias looks at everyone else in the party. They all nod with one another, and without saying a word, simultaneously hold out a hand and raise their middle finger, flipping off the stranger. The stranger lets out a sigh. They draw their longsword on their back, and in one swing, cut off the middle fingers from everyone except for Vahalectria, Farley, and Faline, seeing as they were the only ones not to flip them off. Everyone who had their middle fingers cut off rolls on the floor in pain. The stranger begins to walk off. Who are you? Farley asks. The stranger stops walking. They look over their shoulder and say, I am the ghost of the Sapphire Star. They climb back on the Dalamadur, and along with the mind flares, they disappear into the ancient forest. Now, if ghost speech sounds familiar to you all, RDM was very open about ripping it from Naruto. I actually had to change a lot so it wouldn't be copyrighted. Now, you might be thinking, what now? Astera is partially destroyed. People are dead, including one of our teammates. Isaias now has one less middle finger to flip off God, and Farley was hit with an electric blast so hard he's legally classified as a 50,000 volt battery. I'm gonna be honest with you all. This next scene I cannot do any justice if I stop and explain everything as it happens. So, I will explain everything at the end so we can all enjoy what's about to happen without any interruptions. Oh, and before we begin, there we go. Is everyone okay? Elder asks. I'm fine, but Colleen is dead, Farley answers. I have an idea, Isaiah says as he pulls out the deck of many things. I don't think that's a good idea, Isaiah, Farley says. Nonsense. One of these is bound to help, Isaiah replies as he pulls out a card, only to immediately lose all of his equipment except for his hunting hoard. Where did all my stuff go? He asks as he drops the deck. Valeria picks out the deck. Maybe this card can help Colleen, says Valeria as she draws a card. They stared at the blank card. A look of confusion falls over her face. The all-white card then gets taken over by an empty black. I don't think that's good, guys. There is no reply from anyone. Guys? She asks. She looks up and doesn't see any of us there. In fact, she doesn't see anything there. Astera, the sky, even the ground. All she sees is a dark, black void all around her. She walks forward a bit. Guys? Hello? Anyone there? She asks. No reply. She slams into an invisible force. Like there was a wall there, but she can't see it. Hello? Anyone there? Can you hear me? She shouts as she bangs on the wall. This is all what Valeria is seeing. What the rest of the party sees is Valeria draw a card, stare at it for a few seconds. The black of her pupils takes over the rest of her eyes, and she falls to the ground unconscious, dropping the deck. We should not draw any more cards. We've already lost Colleen, and I think we lost Valeria, Farley says. Don't worry. This card will fix everything, exclaims Cryptodira as she picks up the deck and draws a card. She loses 4 intelligence. What did I do just now? She asks before anyone can answer. She says, Ooh, what's this? And draws another card. And then all of her gear except for her weapon disappears. Okay. Explanation time. So the card Isaiah drew and the second card Cryptodira drew were the same card, and fairly self-explanatory. The card made it to where all non-magical items and gear, as long as all their money on the person, disappear. Not as it's invisible, it's just gone. The first card Cryptodira drew makes the player lose 4 intelligence and allows them to draw again. Now, the card that Valeria drew, that is arguably the single worst card that anyone can draw. It is simply called the Void. Anyone who draws the Void have their soul ripped out of their body and contained in an object of the DM's choice. The person's body is incapacitated and basically falls into a coma. The object can be anywhere and is guarded by one or more powerful beings. Also, the wish spell cannot undo this card. So, yeah, Valeria's basically dead. After all this, for some reason that no one can understand, we let Isaiah take the deck back. He will make more mistakes with that deck in the future. We all take Valeria to the infirmary before heading out to find anyone else who needs urgent medical care. We search through the rubble and find so many bodies. A lot of people have died in the attack. It took a few days to clear all the rubble from the streets. People were being identified and placed in hastily made graves. Since the stair was heavily damaged, we needed to repair and rebuild. You see, a stair is built out of all the boats that made up the fleets that brought everyone to the New World. It's actually something that was used in the past IRL as a way to set up housing for people settling down in new land. Now, the fleet that carried our group to the New World was destroyed, so it was never used to help build Astera. But the wreckage had washed up ashore, so people were going back and forth to gather up any wood and supplies they can. They would load them into carts and bring them to be unloaded in Astera. Faline and Farley were helping unload the supplies when Vahalectria walks by. Oh, Vahalectria, would you like to help us? Faline asks. With what? Vahalectria asks. We need to unload these supplies to help build Astera, Faline answers. Why do you need me to help you with that? Vahalectria asks. Well, we could use someone big like you to help carry heavy stuff, Faline says. I don't see what that has to do with me, Vahalectria replies. Vahalectria, we need your help. Grab some wood and unload it, Farley demands. Vahalectria sighs and begins helping unload the supplies. Once they are done, Farley notices something shimmering in the cart. He puts on a glove and picks it up. It appears to be a black scale from something. Is this a diamoralis scale? He says. What's that? Vahalectra asks. I think it's a diamoralis scale. From one of the monsters that attacked us on the boat, Farley answers. Vahalectra and Farley stare at the scale for a while. Is it? Vahalectra asks. I don't know. Maybe. Think we could find someone who would know? Farley asks. You two do that. I'll go and help get more supplies, Phelan says. Farley and Vahalectra look around to stare for someone who can help them identify the scale. They're having some trouble seeing as everyone is busy and ignoring the two. The entire time, Farley has his other hand holding his side and appears to be trying to hide the pain he is in, albeit badly. We eventually find a researcher sitting on a pile of books looking through one of them. Hey, can you help us? Farley asks. Without looking up from the books, they answer, What is it? We're trying to identify the scale. I think it's from a diamoralis, Farley says. Diamoralis, huh? They say as they look up. They examine the scale for a bit as Farley holds it up. Does it boil in water when placed in it? They ask. I don't know. Hold on, Farley says and leaves. In a minute, he returns with a bucket of water. He takes the scale and places it in the water. It begins to boil almost instantly. Well then, it would appear the scale was from the diamoralis, the researcher says. Farley stares at the scale in the bucket for a minute before he gets a sudden epiphany. Wait right here, he says. Once again he leaves and returns in a minute with another bucket of water. This one is already boiling, and inside it has the egg Farley had obtained in the last episode. He pulls out the egg and shows it to the researcher. Could this egg be a diamoralis egg? He asks. Well, it looks just like the scale and boils in water, so there's a high chance, they answer. Farley's eyes grow big at that realization. What would happen if the guild found out a black dragon egg was here? He asks. They would probably destroy it, the researcher answers. Don't worry, your secret is safe with me. I'm curious and want to see what happens. As Farley and the researcher are having this conversation, Captain Fuzzyboots comes walking by, carrying some tools, and sees Vahalectra and Farley holding his side in pain. Ow, Captain Fuzzyboots says. Vahalectra looks down at Captain Fuzzyboots. Captain Fuzzyboots, what brings you here? Vahalectra asks. Ow, Captain Fuzzyboots says while pointing at Farley. But what if you get hurt and I can't help you? Vahalectra asks. Ow, Captain says again. All right, Vahalectra says. Hey, Farley. Huh? What? Farley asks. Vahalectra casts Cure Wounds on Farley, healing his wounds fully. Oh, Farley says as he relaxes, feeling better. Thank you. It's fine, Vahalectra replies. Farley places the egg back in the bucket, and the water begins to boil again. How am I going to hide this from the guild? He says. Well, Captain Fuzzyboots answers. What is it, Captain? Farley asks. Well, Captain Fuzzyboots says again as they gesture to Farley to follow them and start heading towards the dorms. It should be stated that at this moment, Vahalectra is the only person who can understand Captain Fuzzyboots. They want you to follow them, Vahalectra translates. Oh, okay then, Farley replies. The three make their way back to the dorms, and Captain Fuzzyboots runs over to a corner. They remove a part of the floor, revealing a small, empty storage area they made. Oh, in here? Farley asks. Well, Captain Fuzzyboots answers. Yes, in there, Vahalectra translates. Farley bends down and places the bucket in the space. Captain Fuzzyboots puts the floor piece back, covering it up. That's handy. Has that always been there? Farley asks. No, they dug that out when we got here, Vahalectra answers. Oh, really? Farley says, intrigued. Yeah, it's a force of habit of ours to find and create little hidey holes to store food in. That way monsters can't steal from us, Vahalectra says. Oh, I see. Wait, you two grew up around monsters? Farley asks. In a way, we grew up in the wilderness, Vahalectra says. Oh, wow, Farley says. I'll have to know more about you two. Like what? Vahalectra asks. Like, Farley says and thinks for a minute. Why did you two come to the New World? He asks. We came here because the Elder Dragons are here, Vahalectra answers. Really? Farley asks. Wait, and you are Volcana Cross, Dragonborn. Are you here to try and connect to the Elder Dragon ancestors of the Dragonborn? You seem to be mistaken, Farley. We're not here to talk to the Elder Dragons. We are here to kill the Elder Dragons, Vahalectra answers. Farley's face changes to one with fear. He thinks about the egg containing the Diamoralis he just put in the hidey hole. Now, you might be wondering why Captain Fuzzboots and Vahalectra help Farley if they want to kill the Elder Dragons. It's actually really simple. They don't know Diamoralis is an Elder Dragon. It turns out they hate Elder Dragons, but they don't exactly know what is and isn't an Elder Dragon. Even black dragons like Diamoralis, they have no idea that they're Elder Dragons. Why would you want to kill the Elder Dragons? Farley asks. They deserve to die for everything they have done, Vahalectra answers. Thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and let me know. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comment section below. I hope everybody had a great day. Goodbye.